Hello and welcome to my channel. Today is a get ready with me, so a chatty video while I do my makeup today. I'm going to be using once again the Glaminatrix Barely Basic palette. Really excited about this for fall makeup and all makeup. And I think I'm going to lean into this row today, sort of like mauves and maroons. So I'm going to be using that, doing a full face, but I'm mostly going to be chatting through this. As many subscribers know, I'm currently on a journey, quitting my job for a few months, taking a break from the hustle and pursuing my creative interests. I've done a couple of videos on this already. One sort of like how I got to this place. Another one recently about like my struggles with social media right now and just how it's all about the algorithm and trend cycle. So check those out if you find this conversation interesting because it's kind of related to all this. In my first video, I really talked about one of my goals for these months I'm taking to myself had to do with finding ways to slow down. And while I talked about that in the first video, I hadn't really touched on like the how I'm doing it, because I'm finding it actually more of a, not a struggle exactly, but more of a deep unlearning of a lot of capitalist mindsets. So it's really come down to like a sort of true process to try and actually like slow down my nervous system, feed my creative energy. And I just really want to get into that because I think it'd be interesting. I'm going to talk a little bit about tarot. I'm going to talk about a little bit about the moon. So some little witchy moments happening in this video. So yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting conversation. I'm going to love to hear your thoughts as well. So let's get into it. So I may mention a couple of products I'm using as I go about this, but I'll list everything down below in case I don't, as I'm blabbing away. But I am trying out this What's Up Beauty. It's a new primer, so never used it before. I'm going to be using that and kind of some usual suspects on my face. So long story short, quickly for anybody who might be new here landing on this channel, I've basically taken a few months off from doing work. I've never had like a full-time career, just like sort of contract work and part-time work, but I was finding myself really creatively and just generally burnt out and uninspired. And I'm a person who like wants to find work that has meaning and makes me feel like creative and serving myself. I want to work for myself at the end of the day. Like that's my goal. So yeah, I've taken about 7 or 8 months off. And I'm 2.5 months in to this journey right now. So it's been a lot of learning so far. Like to start with, like, of course, as an online creator, like I want to grow. I would love to, find more subscribers and more engagement online, but I have particularly been struggling with the Instagram algorithm and just like feeling like I have to be hustling so hard. Like along with any career, really, I feel like this is a bigger theme, and I've certainly talked about this, but like just this constant feeling of like having to always do more and more and go and go. I start to get overwhelmed about maybe 1.5 months in where I'm like, my content isn't performing as well as I'd like, but I don't really want to just like hop on trends because everyone's like, post several times a day, do this, do that. I'm like, this doesn't feel authentic to me. So this past month has been really about taking a step back and a reset from this time off having to be for me like making it, as much as that is a huge part of it. Like, yes, I'd love to establish this as a career, even if it's like not amazing money, I do want this to be my career right now at this time in my life. But I had to take a step back to like really assess like what makes me feel creative, what inspires me about makeup, really always returning to the why of it. Like, why do I want to pursue makeup? How is it meaningful? How is it like contributing to the world? And yeah, in those other videos, I touched on that for sure. But I'd say like the end of July and August, it really was like sitting with that a little more and like thinking about how I can preserve my creative energy in a world that is so go, go, go. Honestly, it's really been about slowing down a lot more and kind of making more of a practice of what it means for me to live with intention on every day, like not just in what I'm doing with my makeup right now. How can I find like this sort of feeling of creative flow and abundance and just like like a nervous system that feels in check all the time. Like I felt like I was like really focusing, like with razor sharp focus on everything going on in like my career and my goals right now. But when I really start to look at it holistically is when I really started to, this past month anyway, just like piece together things a little bit more, feel a little bit more at peace. And yeah, I'm going to get into this more specifically, but that's sort of like the broader sort of themes happening for me right now and what I'm like exploring and learning about. So one thing I did a couple months ago, I guess, was get back into this book, The Moon Book by Sarah Faith Gottesdiener. So this is where we talk a little bit more about witchiness and like cycles and honoring natural cycles. So this book I've used before over the years as like basically a tool for finding ways to honor cycles, because it's looking at the moon, how it waxes and wanes, and how you can use the moon as sort of like a tool and what phase it's in to reflect what you're working on in your life. So basically each month, the past 2 months, during the new moon, I'll like set an intention for myself, and I'll get into what I've done the past 2 months specifically, but set an intention, and then as the moon waxes, becomes full, and then wanes, it's like working with those specific themes. Like, how am I going to work towards this intention? Once it's full, how am I like honoring where I am now? Once it's waning, how am I letting go of certain things that are holding me back? Like, very simply. The book's fun because it comes with some tarot spreads. If you like to do something like spell work, there's some of that as well. But at its core, it's really just like looking at an alternate way of scheduling our lives in a way. And I think as a woman in particular, a menstruating woman on a 20-ish day cycle, this is an important lesson, even if it's not like your actual cycle lines up with the moon itself, because obviously it probably doesn't. But we currently live in a world that's very like 24-hour based, which is, oh, how so conveniently a male hormonal cycle, right? Men have a hormone cycle that's daily, whereas women's is monthly. And honestly, it's messed up that our whole world moves around that, because if you're a menstruating person, you know what it can be like and feel like when you're at certain points of your cycle. And especially people who struggle with things just like endo or like really intense periods, like it can be a really, really intense struggle to work and be productive during that time. And yet we feel so much guilt around that and like resting. I think that's a very North American too. Like we're obsessed with productivity. And a lot of people struggle to rest when their body needs it, when their mind needs it. And rest is more than just sleep, you know? We have to really like refill our wells in other ways. So anyway, I've like revisited this whole idea of like giving a lot more space for even like a whole week where I don't really do that much. Or like having a week where maybe it's a bit less about the doing of my intention. Say my intention, for example, of the month or whatever is, you know, really put out a bunch of videos that I feel aligns with me authentically. Maybe part of that, working with that theme and that intention for the month, is having a week where I take a step back and just really reflect on what that means and revisiting the intention before getting caught up in all the action and the going. So the first month, I did like a tarot spread. Like the first month, I was like, I want to just really focus on what recharges me creatively. Just like getting back into creative flow, not for the sake of the stupid algorithm. If you saw that other Get Ready With Me video, you know how frustrated I was with the Instagram and TikTok algorithm. But taking a step back from that and like giving myself permission to take a step back. And it's like, okay, what if I just gave myself a month where I just didn't worry about it? I didn't worry about numbers. I literally just put out what I wanted instead of like putting out quantity over quality or feeling like I had to do things that were trending. What if I gave myself a break from that and literally just did things that I wanted? So I like did a tarot pull for that year, and I chose for that month, I chose the star as my theme for that. And it was like really about just recharging and feeling that flow coming and going. And there was more to the tarot spread, but like I pulled as like my challenge to do that was the Four of Swords reversed, which is really about like restless energy and like getting ahead of yourself. And that is something I so do. Like I'll start getting in my head about stuff and just like overthinking it and like rushing like 10 steps ahead. And then it ends up making me feel really anxious and like ruminating. So I worked through that theme. That was like through July, really, maybe mid-July or so. And yeah, it was great. It was so great to like really just like always come back to this idea, like, what am I focusing on this month? And no, this month for me isn't really about trying to make this business work and like desperately trying to get the numbers going. This one for me is like taking a step back, finding why I'm doing this, what fulfills me creatively, what makes me happy to put out into the world creatively. So I felt like I learned a lot of lessons that month. And frankly, I just actually really enjoyed giving myself permission to just, do what I wanted when I wanted. And along with that came like, I started getting back into yoga as a more daily practice. And really just finding slow mornings. I do really well with a morning that isn't go, go, go. So waking up when my body wants to wake up is really amazing. No alarms. Once it became something like 11 a.m., not feeling that pressure of like, oh no, I haven't actually done anything yet today, even though I have plans to. Like, I just let the flow and tried not to judge myself for it. But there's a lot of unlearning that has to happen with that. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I'm sure many of you relate to this feeling of like when you're not doing something with your day. Even let's just say you have one day where you like watch movies all freaking day, or maybe 2 days. Let's give it 2 days because I feel like we all kind of let ourselves have one day. But imagine just 2 days where you just did totally what you wanted. You even took a break from like anything that maybe felt like it had pressure, even if it's like a creative pursuit you love, but you took a break from it. I feel like so many of us just like freak out a little bit and like feel the pressure really quickly. Or maybe that's just me and I'm learning my lesson of trying not to be so restless with my energy. But when you think about it, like from such a young age, we go to school, we're told to go to university, maybe not, but if you don't, get a job, and it's like this constant going, and it's very much survivalist too, because we live in a tough time with the economy, with world events. So we're really in this sense of feeling like you do have to be doing and going, and there's so much information being thrown at you all the time, including things like, you should really start your retirement fund by the time you're 20. It's like, God, I don't have any retirement money. That's, just so much information. And we always feel like we have to be working towards something constantly. And it's really hard to take that step back and just like veg a little bit. So that was like the theme of July. And I found it really helpful to just do what I wanted with my creative energy, and when it felt right to do that. I felt like just really recharged and not making too many plans. As much as I love friends and family, I was just trying to take a bit of a step back from like overfilling my social calendar. As an introvert who also can party pretty hard, in my opinion, or can really just have fun with friends, like I have to remind myself that I need to not do that too often, as fun as it is. As much as I love hanging with people. I have to make myself not. So yeah, that was July. And then August, which we're halfway through, I started the new moon by thinking about like, okay, I do want to bring more money into my life. Like, this is something I definitely want to manifest as a person who has never made much income really, but has always been stable, you know? I was like, I want to manifest more money, but something about that still doesn't feel like I can click with it yet. It still feels like I have a lot of resistance around that. Just like feeling, I guess, A, like I deserve it, or B, like, I don't know, like I just feel weird thinking about asking for money. I'm not there yet. I want to be there yet. I want to be one of those people who are like, hell yeah, money comes my way, like charging rates of what you're worth for things. I want to be that girl soon. Soon I will be. So instead of like focusing on like bringing specifically like more money into my life, I'm focusing on bringing more abundance. What that means really is like being really grateful for where you are and what you have, and making that a daily practice too, of just like acknowledging all the great things you have in your life. Because ultimately, I'm sure we can all list many things we're grateful for, even if it's as simple as like your favorite show or something. If it's, you know, being able to have coffee in the morning. We all have many things that we can get into the practice of every day feeling grateful for. So for my theme this month, and I'm still working on it, I did pull the 9 of Pentacles, because this lady, while abundant, the Pentacles are all about like material things more. While she is abundant in those ways, she really is just like chilling in her garden, manifesting her best life, feeling at peace. I'm like, I need to feel like this lady in my garden. And what did I pull again as my resistance card this month was the 4 of Swords. So again, that restless energy that like I just skip ahead way too much. And I do struggle with all this, with this stepping back. I'm an impatient person. So all these themes are like important for me to focus on. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. So this month we're only halfway there. We're not quite at the full moon, but these couple 10 days or so, I've just been like trying to be really grateful for everything in my life, because I have a lot to be grateful. So instead of focusing so much on the goals, I'm just really like just focusing on what amazing things I have in my life. And there's this guy on TikTok who I've like followed before, and I forget his name, but I'll put it down in the comments, the description box. But he really talks about what manifesting is in a really interesting way. So basically what he says is what you're like wanting in your life often is less about the thing itself and the feeling the thing is going to bring you. And this is not to say that having struggles shouldn't be to diminish anybody's struggles or anything. But like, say for example, you need more money and you imagine you won the lottery. Say you got the check for $1 million or whatever, and you put it in your bank, but it's going to take 5 days for the bank to approve this insane deposit. He says, like, how would you feel during those 5 days? You don't actually have the money then, but how would you feel knowing it was coming to you? I think that that's a really interesting thing to think about, because while you didn't actually have the money and the thing itself, you would feel what the thing itself is gonna give you, even when you don't have the thing. Again, like, not to say people shouldn't ever feel down about where they're at, or people's struggles are really real, but like, what if we took some ounce of that and like thought about the feeling of what it is we might be pursuing, and how can we find that in our everyday? And that's what I'm like working through right now. I think a lot of it for me right now comes down to like just being proud of where I'm at. Yeah, just like really tapping into that feeling of abundance, because it is there and it isn't always about what you think it will be. And like half the time when you reach your goal anyway, whatever it is, there's always this feeling of like, well, wait, no, here's my next thing I'm working on, right? We are very much like focused on the next thing. So even when we reach a goal we might have been so anxious about a year ago and we reach it, sometimes half the time we don't even like acknowledge when we've gotten there. So that comes with the slowing down to me, just like, yeah, acknowledging where you are, what you have, and being less focused on the constant going and the constant doing. Back to what I was saying about like being a woman and honoring those cycles too. I had like a pretty rough week last week in a lot of ways, like with my body. It was like right before my period, and I just felt so bogged down. And also, you know, that like irritation that really gets under your skin. I mean, maybe you know, maybe you don't, but I'm sure you can imagine that feeling. And I was like, also like my skin was breaking out way worse than it like normally does. Like you could see in a couple of my videos, and I'm still recovering from that. And I was just, it wasn't good. It wasn't a good week. It wasn't a bad week, but it was like, while I was finding this slowing down and peace, like I was also struggling with, yeah, some intense PMS. And so I was like, should I film today? Should I do this? And I was just like, no, I'm not going to. I don't have the spirit for it. So I like took a few days to, yeah, just reset. A lot of it for me is like getting back into your body and getting a bit more in touch with what your body's telling you. Yeah, it was saying a lot of slow down. And something actually very scary for me happened on Sunday. Today is Friday. And I had what is probably now, according to the doctors, a visual migraine. So I was just like doing a bit of computer work, and this like fuzzy thing started happening in my vision. Like, you know, if you look at a light and then you look away and there's kind of this fuzzy blob of what the light is. It was like that, but it like wouldn't go away. And it started to actually impact what I was looking at on the computer. And I started panicking a little, like, what the hell? Like, I don't even remember looking at a bright light. What is this thing? And then it started getting worse and like spreading. It was like this weird blurry crescent. I was panicking. I was like, I'm dying. And so I actually went to the ER on Sunday, and yeah, I got a lot of things checked out and like CT scan and everything, and it's looking okay, and they're thinking it's a visual migraine, and I've never had that before. So let me know in the comments if you've ever had it, because dang, that was scary, and I hope it doesn't happen again. Of course, the night I got home, I was like running on adrenaline. I thought I was about to fall asleep, and then I start cramping, and then my period finally comes, and it's like, God damn, all the things. So yeah, it was like a hard week leading up to that, and then the visual migraine, at least that's what it seems to be, happened. So yeah, it felt like kind of a shitty week, but then I had to take that step back again, like, okay, but what am I focusing on this month? And it is this feeling of gratitude and abundance. And so it's like, what did I get out of this pretty scary experience? For me in this time, I had to be I am very grateful for where I live right now in Canada, that I could go to the emergency room and all of this was free. Like I had a CT scan, I had blood work, I had the eye doctor look at me, all this stuff, and it was all free. So I do feel so incredibly grateful for that. Of course, many healthcare systems are flawed, and not every time you go to the doctor, it's going to be a great experience, and you might not be listened to. But for me, this time I felt listened to, and honestly, I was very impressed with how quickly the whole thing went. Canada can be known for its like pretty long wait times in hospitals, but for me, it was just a few hours there, and people took me seriously. And I was so grateful for that. So even though it was a bad experience, it's like, how am I reframing this to see it as something like positive? And I'm not about toxic positivity in any way at all, but like this particular thing that happened to me just made me feel really grateful for where I live and where I am and how that went. So that was actually a learning experience. And yeah, fingers crossed that's all it was, a visual migraine. I hope it doesn't happen again because dang, it was scary. But it came back to that whole listening to your body thing. Like I was about to start editing on the computer, even though I was feeling really tired. And it's like my body literally stopped me from doing it, even though it's not like I'm doing anything super laborious. It's just like, this is reset week. We are resetting. And I think we have to do this way more than we think we do. It's like, oh, but I took a break, 2 weeks ago. We moved too fast. I stand by it. It's not meant to be this hard. It really isn't. We live on this beautiful, amazing, abundant planet full of fucking rivers and trees and oceans, and we barely get to enjoy it. So we have to put ourselves in the way of enjoying it. And along with that, I find just comes with honoring cycles, honoring your body, listening to your body, and getting back into your body. I jumped off camera for a second because I wasn't too sure where I was going with the blend here. It's hard sometimes to talk about big themes, especially doing eye makeup. So, I don't know, kind of just like a maroony blend happening here. And I'm going to do some shimmer now. Wow. The shimmers in this palette are just amazing. Wow. They're like so impactful. Anyway, I just have been finding 2.5 months into this journey of my life right now that it's becoming more about reassessing a lot of things. It's not just been about I'm going to take 7 months off and give it my all and that's all I'm doing. It's really been like more a spiritual quest, so to say. And that's definitely not unexpected for me. I kind of thought that might be the case just personality-wise for me. But yeah, this has just really been such a learning experience so far. And I'm again, another thing to be grateful, I'm able to do this right now, that I don't have bunch of children to pay for right now. Not everybody can do this. Yeah, it's definitely a privilege to take this step back and be able to learn these lessons. And I hope whatever comes in the coming months, and like if I, have to get another job again to pay bills and stuff, I hope I can take a lot of this into what I do next. And I also think, I feel so funny just blabbing away with this one eye look done, but I also think I can take a lot of these lessons into like any kind of workplace I might work for again. Like if anybody asks like, what's this gap on your resume, and you explain it and they're weird about it, it's like, I don't want to work for you, Like it's just really discovering like, these really integral things to me. And like, unfortunately, it's hard to find a workplace that actually honors this idea of taking breaks and honoring your menstrual cycle. I'm sorry, but I'm not sure many of those really exist. If you guys have found any workplaces that actually like, I don't know, give you honestly like a couple days off if you have your period or like that kind of thing, let me know. I want to know. I hope it exists. But yeah, I hope I take some of this into anything I'm doing in the future after this and through these coming months. I still have about 5 months after this to like keep working through this time of my life. And anyway, I'm going to do this same thing off camera because I'm nearing the end of my spiel. I'm going to do that off camera and do my lashes and then finish the look up. Here's the eye look done. Too much shimmer? I don't know. I'm not sure what kind of lip to do with this. I think it's going to be like a lot of strange mixology. We'll see. Yeah, I feel like I touched on like all the themes I really wanted to talk about today. So I'm just really curious if anybody relates to any of this, and I'd love to hear the ways like you've found ways to slow down, how you slow down. It's different for everyone at the end of the day. Oh, also just like in general, sort of like that $1 million anecdote I was talking about. I find I have to like let go of a lot of money anxiety. Like it's really easy to get into like a scarcity mindset. I get like really freaked out really quickly. Like when I hear from the CRA government, when I've been told my taxes weren't filed properly thanks to the accountant I hired, I almost spiral into panic mode, you know? So that's definitely an anxiety I'm working through. This is a lot of mixology, just doing different tones. I don't know. Just trying to get this lip to something. Okay, this is the finished look. It definitely got a little bit more intense than I intended, but I think it's gonna take a good photo, you know? Maybe not something to wear out, but we'll see. I don't know. Yeah, I think this is an interesting conversation to have. I'm really curious to know if any of you have felt the same or have been on any kind of similar journey. I feel like every month is gonna present some kind of different theme I'm working through, while also just like the broader theme of like where I'm at right now, which is really just like finding authenticity, finding a way of living that just feels right, I guess. Yeah, I'm on a journey. We all are. And I think that it's an important thing to remember as we pursue our goals is really like learning from the journey and enjoying the journey and slowing down and reflecting on it. And journaling is a big part of that for me. I find like actually getting stuff down on paper really helps me like metabolize it and process it. So I highly recommend notebooks for everybody to like ruminate. Even when you're just like getting crap out on paper, it actually really helps you focus. I really recommend that, journaling. And for those more witchily inclined, check out the moon book. If you want to work with the moon and like look at this idea of cycles, highly recommend. Tarot, of course, just such a great tool for self-reflection. And yeah, that's it for today. Definitely leave comments down below if any of this conversation resonated with you, or if you have any just thoughts in general. I would love to hear them. Toasty, you ready for the outro? Come on, let's take it away. Poor guy, he's always napping when I'm filming and I'm always waking him up. Yeah, that's it for today. Thanks so much for watching till the end. And until next time, may you find yourselves a little bit of makeup magic, a little bit of rest, and we will see you in the next video. Bye, witches.